everyone. It's that time of the week and the month again. No, it's not time to pay the tax bill. It's hopefully to help you pay the tax bill as we bring you at considerable lack of expense four of the wisest sages I know. I don't know many wise sages. So let me introduce you our panel who are looking ahead to the wonderful 5 days in that glorious part of County Kildare where the late racing priest, Father Sean Breen, who was the parish priest of the local parish of Eadstown, once said, "My parish stretches from the back straight at Nace to the 7-furlong pole at Punchestown in the east, which proves there is a God." Well, with that help behind us, let's try and find you a few winners. And they are, in no particular order, Barry Doyle, the founder of Champ.ie, so you know where to refer your complaints, DJ Davy Boland, Andrew Blair White, and the Irish field's finest, in the absence of Leo Powell, Ronan Groome. So these four gentlemen are the men on whom you trust your life in the next few minutes. We're going to go through the big races, and we're going to start with some wonderful sport on Tuesday, day one. The Ecom Merchant Solutions Champion Novice Hurdle, now just a field of 5. Of course, appreciate it not declared, but Willie Mullins has got the two likelies here. Echoes in Rain and Blue Lord. Interesting jockey bookings. Patrick on Echoes in Rain, Paul Tannard returning on Blue Lord. Do we see this as a match? Ronan Groome, have first go on this.
I would think so, Mike. The jockey bookings are very interesting, as you said. Paul Tennant's got 3 rides on Tuesday, but he's not riding in the big handicaps, which is interesting. So I don't know, is that a thing where they're picking and choosing with him? Echoes in Rain, I was pretty sure would be ahead of Blue Lord in the market just on what she did the last day. She was excellent at Fairyhouse. She clocked a serious time figure that day. She was 7 seconds faster than El Barra was in the first race on that card, which was no mean feat. And you even go back to her form at Nace, she beat Belfast Banter by 8 lengths. Belfast Banter's now a County Hurdle winner and a Grade 1 winner at Aintree. I think she's a very, very good mare. Patrick Mullins is obviously going for the Champion Amateurs title this week, so every winner counts for him. And it's just interesting. Yeah, I would have thought if the number one hope from the Mullins yard is Echoes in Rain, and in that case Paul Townend might be on, but Patrick Mullins is there and he's going for the championship, so I wouldn't read too much into it. I certainly wouldn't suggest that Blue Lord should be ahead of Echoes in Rain because Paul Townend is riding. I don't think it's that simple, and I'd have a hearty, pretty solid bet on Echoes in Rain. If she's anywhere near even money, I think she's just a shade of odds on at the moment. I think she's an excellent play. I think she could be a very good mare.
Yeah, the subplot here, of course, is Willie Mullins has only got 2 jockeys titles to deliver to his stable jockey and to his son, namely to become champion and champion amateur. Barry, are you same view? This is a match?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is. There's nothing else really here. I did like Uhtred as a bumper horse once upon a time, but yeah, it's a match, isn't it? Echoes in Rain. She's improved an awful lot this season. As Ronan said, she was mightily impressive at Fairyhouse. At top Blue Lord, though, he was probably on. He wasn't going to beat Appreciate, obviously, in the Supreme, but he was quite buzzy early on. And I think the step back to 2 miles, he was racing early in the season over further. And I think the step back to 2 miles had suited him. Good jumper as well, even though he did fall the last day. So I'd be siding with him now. I think probably he does bring the best form to the table. He was going to run a cracker behind Appreciated, and he was very keen early. So be interesting to see what they do with him next season. But of the two, he has shortened up considerably, hasn't he, Blue Lord? But I'd be siding with him, but it wouldn't really be a massive bet now.
This is something of a freak race, this, isn't it? Not many races in Ireland at all or anywhere where Patrick Mullins rides one that gets weight from all his rivals. Patrick's on starvation rations again. And Davy, with justification in your view?
Yeah, she's very good form as the lads mentioned with Belfast Banter, but I'd back Blue Lord here. I think he's raced against better types. He hasn't been beaten that far by them either. The £7 difference is obviously that's a huge advantage for Echoes in Rain and Patrick, and it is a very interesting jockey booking, all right. But be Blue Lord for me, just because he's raced against an awful lot better horses.
And let's complete this wonderful lineup with, well, the race on Wednesday's got ABP and we've got ABW. Andrew.
Yeah, I think this will be fascinating tactically, because what the lads haven't said is the two of these are very, very keen. And I see no pace in this race whatsoever. Dew Cup may make it unless they go and do what they did in the Moscow Flyer with Echoes in Rain and let her bowl along. She didn't look straightforward then, and I think it's been underplayed how well Paul Townend has ridden her the last twice to get her to settle and switch off in behind horses. I'm very hard to know how this race is going to pan out from that perspective. I would just about be swaying with Blue Lord, just with what Davy was saying. You know, he doesn't have a Bob Ollinger or Appreciated here to beat. I'm not sure Echoes in Rain is up to that level, although she has very good form in the book. I thought the Ferry House race the last day slightly fell apart. Notwithstanding her Nace run has stood the test of time, but probably 55-45 Blue Lord for me, Mike.
All right, straight on then to the Killer She, the big group Grade B Handicap Hurdle. And if you can find the winner of this, lads, buy yourselves a lotto ticket on the way home. It's one of those. The favourites include the likes of Magic Tricks, Jazz Away, Gentleman Demi, and Arcadian Sunrise. I've mentioned 4, but there are 24 in all. Who wants that first go on this? Davy Boland.
I like Jazz Away in this. Been a long time off the track, but has very good form on its last run last July in Galway behind Miss Milner. And sure, we know what she's done since. Maybe a bit of an issue being off the track so long, which that doesn't seem to bother Willie with horses. He can bring them back after long absences. Nice lightweight. Conor McNamara, very good rider and claiming off him as well. So I'll go Jazz Away. But like you said, it is a bit of a lottery. There's loads in there, but just to pick one, I'll go with him.
Andrew.
Yeah, well, I was convinced after Christmas time that Master McShee would be able to go in again in a handicap. He's been a little bit lifeless the last 2 runs in Grade 1 and Grade 2 company. But if he was to come back anywhere near that Christmas run where he absolutely thrashed Sea Ducker, who I think is a well handicapped horse, Arthur Moore, when he comes back out, I think of 142, I still think there's possibilities about him. And if he can turn that round, you look at his form prior to Christmas, beating Atlantic Fairy, second to Appreciated, and then the Handicap Hurdle win. If he was to reproduce that, he'd be bang there of 142, and I think he's 12-1. So I'll play him at an each way price.
Barry?
Yeah, Jesse Evans, running in great company. Actually, when we spoke to Noel Mead, Mike, you forgot to mention episode number 21, and you've taken my seat. But Jesse Evans, when we spoke to Noel Mead, he actually quite liked them to start of the year. Had won a maiden, of course, in Gorn, on good ground. Back on good ground, of course, has form as well. Well, not form, but he ran a respectable race at Nace when he was fancy behind an Echoes in Rain back in February. So he's had a bit of a break since, and comes back here on better ground. I just think there's, off his current mark of 123, he had been running in good company. Was beaten by Appreciated, at Leopardstown before that run. So I just think back in handicap company, it's his handicap debut of 127. I thought he was interesting. 10-1, it probably is it's good value, I think.
JP's got 5 in this. Hope they're going to have enough JP jackets, because in the COVID restrictions, you can't start swapping jackets around. And he's got umpteen in other races as well. Ronan, I'll give you the broomstick job here. Sweep up.
Yeah, a couple from me, Mike. I'll go through them quickly. I thought Rula Bula was the pick out the Mullins. The Mullins runners here, I think she ran really well at Fairy House last day, and the big handicap hurdle there behind Harster Trumps. She's just behind Magic Tricks, who's towards the top of the market. Danny Mullins rides. She's lightly raced. She's only had 6 starts. Open to more improvement, so I thought she could go well. And the other one was Exit Pole, who went back to last day at Fairy House as well, and he fell pretty early in the race, but he's got quite smart form. He's been jumping fences the last twice, and he beat a horse called Star Max at Leopardstown prior to that. Star Max went on and won again. And if you go back to his hurdles form last year, he beat John Snow and Dermot McLaughlin's good mare, Santa Rosa, over hurdles at Fairy House. I think good ground is what he needs, and I just find it interesting that they've come back over hurdles here, possibly to maybe of the opinion that he's well handicapped off a mark of 132. So they're my two against the field.
And so we move to the first of two incredibly high class grade ones, the William Hill Champion Chase. 7 runners, 2 brave Brits going behind enemy lines, and both with, in my eyes, some sort of a squeak. Nube Negra in first flow, but surely this is all about Chacun Pour Soi. But fascinating, Allaho drops back in trip for 2 miles. And Mr. Tannen might not be pleased if William Mullins gives Rachel Blackmore a winner. In you go with this one, Andrew Blair White.
Yeah, geez, a great race, as you said, Mike. I got my fingers burnt on Chacun at Cheltenham. I thought he just ran below himself. Whether that was the track, whether he just wasn't himself, I don't know what it was. I thought he didn't run within 10 pounds of his best. I think if he's back to his best, he'll win this. I am a big fan of Allaho, but I can't have him at 2 miles whatsoever. I thought he had a terrifically hard race as well in the Ryanair, albeit being very impressive. So I'll be back in Chacun Pour Soi, and I'm hoping tomorrow I'm going to find a bookie going match betting, and I'll back Nube Negra to finish ahead of Allaho, because I think Nube Negra is a bit of a sleeper in this market at 5-1.
Fascinating. Bred in Spain. Not too many horses have come on from being bred in Spain. Barry, what do you make of this?
He'll handle the good ground anyway, won't he? Nube Negra. Yeah, Andrew, so we were all big Chacun Pour Soi fans going into Cheltenham. That race, they didn't go that hard early on, and I think I actually spoke to Andrew about it recently. That was my theory on it anyway. That could have been the track. I think, as he said, he did run below his best, but I think they went steady early on. He was a touch keen as well, and look, I'd be expecting a better performance. I'd definitely be in his camp again. You know, we can't forgive him one run. I think Allaho, he has to prove it back at 2 miles. He was exceptional at Cheltenham. But yeah, I decided with Chacun Pour Soi. It's boring, but I think he'll win.
Ronan.
Just a timely reminder that when we were on the old Cheltenham preview podcast, that it did take on Chacun Pour Soi, and there was 3 other men on this podcast who laughed at me. So anyway, my pride's not going to get in the way here again, because I think Chacun Pour Soi has got a great chance of getting back on board. He's back at Punchestown. This was the course and distance that he first kind of sprung to mind, and the whole thing I had with taking on Chacun Pour Soi at Cheltenham was the track, which catches some horses out. I'm not sure. I think the only thing you can conclude from Chacun Pour Soi's run at Cheltenham is he just didn't get up the hill. But I have a thing about him, the way that he travels in his races, that he kills horses off during the race, and that's the way the undulations didn't play to his strengths. Whether that is, you can't really back that up with any kind of evidence, but that's my gut feeling with him. That he's been able to win at Punchestown, and it's more or less going downhill for the finish, I think can help him out. I do think Nube Negra, as Andrew said, is a bit of a sleeper, especially considering he finished in front of Chacun at Cheltenham, and he obviously won't have that much of a problem with the ground. He's a fresh horse. He's only run twice since. It would slightly worry me that Chacun's having his 5th start of the season here for a horse that was so kind of lightly raced before this season. Is he over the top? I completely agree with what's been said about Allaho. I think big question coming down in trip, and the way he won the Ryanair, that was an absolute humdinger of a run. Even though it was 6 weeks ago, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's just a bit over the top now. And one, just to mention at a big price, Mike, quickly, Chillhouse Emery, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he ran big. Obviously, he'd be an each way kind of type of horse if you had the 8 runners, but he's a former Punchestown Festival winner. He won the Grade 1 2-mile Novice Hurdle here 4 years ago when he beat Mellon in that famous kind of Mellon and Lebec race where Lebec didn't start. I think he's talented on his day. Good ground suits him, and when things fall right for him, I think he's a very good horse. So one at a big price, but wouldn't be surprised at all if Chacun gets back to winning ways.
And Davy?
I'll keep it simple. Chacun Pour Soi wins. Allaho will set it up for him.
Well, there's 2 Brits in the race. First flow, forget his Cheltenham run because he hated going left-handed. He's going back right-handed. Nubi Negra is the one we have a lot of interest in. And here is what Dan Skelton's had to say about him.
Looking forward to Tuesday. It's a brave man going to take on the Irish in their own backyard, given what happened at Cheltenham.
Yeah, exactly. But we've got a very good horse, and if you don't try, you don't know. And he's in great form. He's only having his third run of the season. He travels very well. He jumps nicely. Right-handed's not an issue. I haven't got any negatives, to be honest with you. It's going to be hard, of course it is, but they're grade ones. They're supposed to be.
Is it true to say that you were a little bit unlucky at Cheltenham because he did stumble, cost you probably half a length, and that's all he got beat in the end?
Yeah, I think as much as anything, if they'd have gone faster, it'd have helped us more. But then, how unlucky was So Royal in the race? Racing sports full of unlucky stories and lucky stories, and it just didn't quite ebb in our direction that day. Doesn't mean it's not going to Tuesday. You've got big galloping track like Punchestown. We've got plenty of room to sort of manoeuvre and get into the best challenging position, and may the best horse win.
And if Allaho does turn up, there's going to be no hanging about, that's for sure.
Of course they won't do, but Chac and Poissoir's not going to hang about either. It's a very, very good race. In these top races, they all go forward. So we're lucky. We're looking forward to being there. At the end of the day, it's a grade one. You want to be competing in them. So fingers crossed.
He's done nothing but improve, hasn't he? I keep reminding myself he's actually Spanish bred, which is unusual.
Yeah, exactly. We own the stallion now. We've got the stallion at home in our new stud, and he's doing phenomenally well. But yeah, he did his racing in Spain, and ever since we got him, he's done nothing but improve physically, because the guys before in Spain didn't over race him and looked after him, and he's 16-3, big strong horse now, and made to jump a fence.
And I assume one of the big pluses is that he is, as you mentioned, this is only his third run of the season, and that is obviously a huge plus, isn't it?
Yeah, huge. I don't think you want to be going here at the end of a long season trying to take on Allaho and a Chac and Poissoir in their backyard, as you say. So yeah, we're in a good position for that.
As if that wasn't enough of a treat for day one, we then of course have the first of the bumpers, and then at 6:30, what a race! Doyle Insurance Group champion Novice Chase, Envoi Alain against Monkfish, Coolreevy and Franco de Port. Monkfish a narrow favourite, certainly according to the market I've just seen now, but who knows? Only 4 runners. There's no 100 to 1 shot like you and me and my mother-in-law with our legs tied together in there. They are all grade 1 performers, which makes this a real one to save a Ronan, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. It's an excellent race, and I just find myself wanting to take on Envoi Alain, though, I have to say. I was just literally going onto the Betfair market to see what sort of price he's trading at now. But I think if you could lay him at whatever the inverse of his price is now, I'm seeing 5-4 in front of me at the moment, I think that would be the way in. I just think the gap between him and Monkfish should be much bigger than it is. It's 11 to 10, 5-4, that sort of prices now. Monkfish is obviously proven over 3 miles. He's 4 from 4 this season. No, he's beaten the best over 3 miles. And I thought he was fine at Cheltenham. I think that was a bit of he was 4s on there. There was nervousness around the place, and it was like not even a penalty kick. It was closer than that. He just really had to jump around, and I just thought that was the case. Just get him around and he'll win, and he did. He won easy. He won by 6.5 lengths from 2 good horses. So I think he's fine. The thing with Envoi Alain is, the question is what's he's actually beat this season. We mentioned that on the preview before Cheltenham, and he's fell last time. He's coming off a fall, which isn't ideal, and he's coming up to 3 miles, and everyone talks about him as a Gold Cup horse, but he's got to go and do it over 3 miles. The bet, and at the current prices now, I think, is Coolreevy, and she's a completely underrated mare. I thought she was brilliant at Cheltenham to beat Ellie May, who's a real quality mare as well. She's really tough. She's 3 from 3 at Punchestown. She's won the champion bumper at Punchestown. She won her beginner's chase here. I think she's an excellent mare, and she gets £7 off them, interestingly, and she's rated 158. Well, if you took that literally, she'd be £7 onto the 158. She's £2 clear of Monkfish and £1 clear of Envoi Alain. So there definitely doesn't deserve to be the difference in price there is. And she was around 8 or 9 to 1. She wasn't even put into this market when the big Monkfish and Envoi Alain clash kind of started getting talked about, and I think that's what people have concentrated on. They're really excited about this clash, but she's a bit of a forgotten mare. I know the breeders quite well, and this is going to be her last run. I don't know them quite well. I've done a few pieces with Niall Flynn down in Waterford and gentlemen to deal with, and this is going to be her last run. She doesn't run again next year. They want to take her back for breeding. So yeah, I can see her running a big race here, Michael. That'd be my way into the race around 7 or 8 to 1.
Davy.
Yeah, it's what we've all wanted all season, I suppose. So I think the tactics will be very interesting in terms of what way the race is run in terms of pace. I'd imagine Paul will make the running on Monkfish. Brian, I doubt Brian will go forward on Franco de Port. Coolreeve will probably just follow and try and pick up any pieces that there is. Ground to be concerned with her, I'd say. She's huge. She is. It's not often you say these words, but she's a fine big mare. But I think it's just, I'm going to go with Monkfish just because Envoi Allen off the back of a fall the last day would be my slight worry. He's not the easiest horse in the world. I'd say now they've had time for him to settle in Henry's. I'd say everything's okay now, but he's not that straightforward. And as we've seen in Cheltenham, it's just a case he was very fresh. That's what happened with the fall. He was far too fresh. When have you ever seen him acting like that down at the start? He's never been like that. So I'd say they have a handle on him now, all right. But it's tight, and I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to it. But I go with Monkfish. I just thought his performance, leave Cheltenham out. He did what he had to do in Cheltenham. I just thought his performance in the Dublin Racing Festival over 2.5 was devastating. I thought it was one of the performances of the season. He was obviously very good at Christmas as well when he beat a latest exhibition over 3 mile. But I just thought that 2.5 win in Leopardstown was absolutely devastating. And I think if that Monkfish turns up tomorrow, I'd say it'd be just good enough to beat Envoi Allen.
A lot of people, Dave, actually were very quick to come in at Monkfish after the performance at Cheltenham, saying that, you know, it was average. He was lucky to get the job done. I think Henry's horse, he obviously came down in the race as well, but they went fairly hard down the back, didn't they?
I think the thing was also, you know,
for 3 mile chase, like,
get Andrew in on this. You know, I've looked at that last fence several times, and I'm thinking you can't afford to make a mistake like that if you've got any sort of pressure on you. Andrew, have your say on this.
Yeah, I'll be backing Envoi Allen in this. Look, I know he's fallen, fair enough, but I thought Monkfish blotted his copybook just as much in the RSA. You can say what you want about the two Tizard horses, but they're still running around Aintree, tailed off behind Chantry House. So, like, it's not exactly like it was great form in the book. And just, I was just concerned with Monkfish. I was the same as Davy after the Dublin Racing Festival. I thought he was an absolute machine, but he didn't quite look the same himself at Cheltenham. The vibes from Henry's are that Envoi Allen is now a lot more straightforward. Well, not straightforward, but, you know, he has settled in a lot more. I think it's a complete myth, these people coming up with this, you know, that 3 miles won't suit him. You know, I think it's like, this is what he's bred to do. He's a point-to-point winner, and he's been bred and bought to be a Gold Cup horse. This is the situation we wanted. Now, I don't want to brand it, you know, one of the races of the season, because it seems every time everyone says that, you know, somebody tips up at the second fence and you get a complete anti-climax. So I think for the good of racing, you just want these two horses to run to their merits. But I'll be back in Envoi Allen. I'm keeping the faith with him, and I'd love to see Barry's face when Envoi Allen beats Monkfish.
So there you have it. That's a really marvellous day one of the Punchestown Festival. And remember, there are 5 days of it. So day one full of absolutely wonderful racing, and day two is every bit as good. Let's start by thinking about the Gold Cup. Although Minella Indo, the Cheltenham Gold Cup hero, out with a bruised foot. So this has got WP Mullins probably written all over it in the eyes of most people. But Album Photo has to exercise the ghost of Punchestown a bit. Of course, beaten by the ride that sent Ruby Walsh into retirement 2 years ago. And then there was the Paul Townend incident before that. And he finally come good. Ronan Groome.
Yeah, he's the right favourite now, Mike. He's obviously is a double Gold Cup winner, and there's nothing wrong with those runs that you said. You probably would have won if he didn't run out that year famously, and he was against Finian's Oscar, I think, and finishing second to Envoi in that race 2 seasons ago, which is actually the last renewal of this race. That was an excellent run. The two of them came miles clear of anything else, and Envoi was in brilliant form and won really well at Aintree before that. So he's the right favourite, Mike. I think Vanillier obviously coming out is a shame, but it's an excellent race, and the horse I mentioned, Envoi, is interesting. I mean, I think if you draw a line through the Gold Cup, and I think you can to an extent, because Cheltenham has never really appealed as the type of track that would suit him. I think he needs kind of good yielding ground, which you'll get here, and a track like Punchestown where he can go off in front, and I can see that he probably will get that kind of leeway here in a smaller field, and with no other obvious real front runner. Clanda's Oboe could be up there, but don't think anyone's going to try and go with Envoi. I can just see him running much better. It's a bit of a shame, I think, that Vanillier's come out, because I was happy enough to take him on, to be honest, and then now obviously the prices have all cut in a bit. So Envoi is my kind of first hope, but I'm not sure if I'm going to back him yet. And I just want to give a good mention to Clanda's Oboe, who I've always been a good fan of. And, you know, people will crab the form of Aintree the last day, but I thought he was electric there. He's 26 length winner on the day. I think the cheap pieces could be the key to him, really. I've already backed him for the King George next year. I think that's an excellent bet. I think you can still get 8-1 about him for the King George race. He's won twice already. He's a real specialist type of horse, and that'll be his race next season. But I think he can run well here. But Envoi is my way in. I'm hoping for a bit of a better price than he is now. I can see the market's just about reformed, and probably a bit short now, considering he was well held the last day. But I thought he was brilliant at Leopardstown before that, and he'd be my way into the race.
Andrew.
Yeah, well, I'm the same as Ronan in terms I was going to take on Vanillier just in terms of he'd had a hard enough season. Everyone will know I'm a massive album photo fan. You know, now he's 13-8 or something like that. I would have much preferred taking the 3-1 that was available with Vanillier in the race. He's a little bit short, but look, he's been trained with 3 races in mind all year, and this is the third of the 3. I thought he ran a perfectly respectable race in the Gold Cup against 2 improving horses. He doesn't have to face any of them again. Envoi's just a horse I can't get right. Anytime I back him, he doesn't win. Anytime I take him on, he does win. So he's no good to me, I'm afraid. Clanda's Oboe, a horse I do like a lot, and I'd echo exactly what Ronan said. People will throw that Aintree form in the bin, but he still won the race by 20-25 lengths. So he'd probably be the big danger I'd see to Album Photo. Fakir Duderies is now running the Ryanair and the Melling in quick succession, so might be one too many for him. And also there's potential stamina doubt. So Album Photo, hopefully to get a bit of justice back for his third in the Gold Cup. But Clanda's Oboe would be a big danger.
I just remember Paul Nicholls has done this twice. He won it twice with Neptune Collonges, so he knows what it takes to win a Punchestown Gold Cup. But you in the Album Photo camp, Davy?
No, I'd be with Ronan and Envoi. Completely agree with everything Ronan said. Envoi just doesn't seem to like Cheltenham. The run in Leopardstown was very good, and then he was second before that to Absolute Tard as well, which was a very good run. And sure, we've seen what he did in the Gold Cup. Envoi, of course, gave Ruby Walsh the great goodbye to his jockey career, winning this race, and he'd be one for me. The track just suits him. Album Photo just I don't know. There was just something seemed to be missing with him in the Gold Cup for me. I know the winner and the second were very good, but I don't know, something missing there. But Nicholls' horse Clanda's Oboe, suited by going right-handed, and this sort of track will suit him. And he was good in Aintree, apart that he bet nothing. But it became Envoi for me, and like the lad said, maybe Clanda's Oboe, giving him all he wants of it.
And let's not forget, of course, Danny Mullins has already won a Grade 1 on Envoi this year. Barry?
Yeah, it's a race, isn't it? Can throw up an odd surprise over the years. Yeah, I thought Fakir was very interesting when he stepped up to 3 miles at Christmas. He pulled up that day, but all he's done since second to Shakan Boursois was a much improved effort. Second to Allaho, and then goes and does what he did at Aintree, over 2.5 miles. I think back up at the 3 miles again. I get it's very hard to do it, isn't it? Run at Cheltenham, run at Aintree, and then come on to Punchestown. But I just think he's definitely going in the right direction. He's only 6 and he had 11 runs over fences, and up to 3 miles. I'd be with him for the value at 7-1.
So that's off at 5:25 on Wednesday. So after the Gold Cup comes the Champion Bumper, a small field, a bit like the Cheltenham one. Interesting that again we're slightly short on numbers, but it's a rematch between the Mullins pair, Sir Gerhardt and Kilcroot. This time Patrick on Sir Gerhardt, and Kilcroot has Derek O'Connor on board. And the question has to be, is there any reason why the Cheltenham form will be reversed? Davy Boland.
That's a great race. Very intriguing. Patrick would have rode Kilcroot in Cheltenham had amateurs been allowed rides. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. Derek on Kilcroot as well. Again, it's kind of like Monkfish and Envoi Allen. It's going to be a very tactical affair, what will go on. Sir Gerhard just looks the real deal, doesn't he? He was very impressive. I think Rachel kind of got a small bit of a freebie though in front on him. I'm surprised that Paul didn't get to her a little bit sooner, and yeah, it was interesting. I just wonder if he could go back and ride that again, would he have done things differently and left her alone? On homework, I remember asking Patrick Mullins in Fairyhouse on Easter Monday which he was going to ride, and he said it would all be a very late call down to work. So obviously Sir Gerhard has shown good stuff at home, but then again it'd be hard not to ride him, seeing as he's beaten Kilcroot in Cheltenham. Put my head in the block which one, we go with Sir Gerhard. But you know what, for an each way bet, because there's 8 runners, Mick Halford's horse Jamie Codroyd's 40-1. It won its bumper here last year, and it ran Listowel back in September and hasn't ran since. And Mick obviously wouldn't be one for bumpers or for National Hunt horses anymore, but it probably didn't beat a whole lot. But I think the way this horse races, and coming from a flat yard as well, and Jamie will probably ride him very patiently and take a lead and stalk the lads up the front, I'd say this horse could run into that third place behind Sir Gerhard and Kilcroot, who I'd say will fight out first and second.
I was going to suggest as well, it's interesting that they're persevering with Eric Bloodaxe, who beat Fernie Hollow on his first start in a bumper last year. But it's a question of long time no see, something they never say about Ronan Groome.
Don't give Ronan Groome the bumper anyway.
Yeah. I was just going to say I'm not going to be having a bet in this race, but I'd still watch it. It's fascinating, I guess, with Sir Gerhard and Kilcroot taking each other on again. I think the overwhelming feeling after the Champion Bumper was that Sir Gerhard had got maximised his chance by Rachel Blackburn's ride, and Kilcroot maybe could have got a better ride up Paul Town, and maybe could have been a bit closer to her. I think got a bit of a freebie in front and kicked off the bend and got first run, and Kilcroot couldn't catch him. So I think Derek Connor will be alive to that sort of thing happening again. Whether Sir Gerhard gets his own way in front is another thing as well. So I can see it'll be interesting. It'll be fascinating to run. I'm not going to have a bet, but just a fascinating runner as well as the one at the bottom there, Lake Winna Poos. I can't even say it. Lake Winna Poosaki, who ran out at Leopardstown when he was running really well for the Fahis. That race worked out really well. He's only 10-1 here, which is interesting as well. So yeah, fascinating race. Won't be a bet race for me, but looking forward to watching it.
Andrew.
Yeah, I think Sir Gerhard will confirm the form. I think he did it. Like, I know some people will say he got a freebie, but he did it the hard way. It's a long old straight at Cheltenham, and Rachel kicked plenty soon enough. for a young enough horse that, you know, it's a long way home from the bottom of the hill, and I thought he did it very well. And I think if you ran the race again, I think he'd win it again. The one I'm quite interested in, a little bit like what the guys are doing with trying to find one to maybe come into third, is actually the Crawford horse O'Toole. I'm a massive fan of these Crawford horses that go over to Northern England. It's interesting that Munir and Swade are putting a bit of money into that yard. He certainly knows the time of day, and this horse looked very impressive. I know it wasn't maybe a brilliant bumper at Ferryhouse, but he couldn't have won it any easier under Jordan Gainford. And this horse may be a bit above the average that would be in the yard there. So I think he's 25 to 1. I'll play him each way, but I think Sir Gerhard will confirm the placings from Cheltenham.
Yeah, he was 25 to 1 the day he won at Ferryhouse. It just makes you wonder, knowing the connections, if it surprised them as well what happened that day. Barry?
Just imagine Andrew Blair White now on Twitter. If O'Toole goes in, O'Toole is some tool of a horse. Sir Gerhard's a tank. Yeah, lots of people were saying that, you know, Rachel got a bit of a free lead, and plenty of criticism for Town and on Kilcroft. I just think Sir Gerhard, God, what race does he go for next year at Cheltenham? Because this thing is he's a machine.
You thinking of Cheltenham next year already?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. No, just the way he came down the hill, the way he quickened up off the bend, showed some turn of foot now. But Eric Bloodaxe is the one that I can't wait to see. I was actually at Ferryhouse today. He bet Ferny Hollow, backed him that day on debut, and he's only had 3 runs, and he's been in the tracker, so I cannot wait to see him run. I think he was entered. He was entered already this season, so I'm not sure. Davy, you might be able to tell us what the issue was with him, but he's a gorgeous looking horse. Looking forward to see him back on the track, and of course an old flame Ramillies is in there as well. But look, Sir Gerhard is going to go win, but I can't wait to see Eric Bloodaxe as well.
Yeah, it's 14 months, and it was a Dublin Racing Festival bumper when he finished nearer worse than first the last time we saw him. Last time you talked about Cheltenham and this far ahead was a horse called Envoi, and it never made it to the track at the festival. Jesus. But we don't want to bury Envoi Doyle for nothing. More on that in a moment. But let's really make him sing for his supper as we look at this 7 o'clock on day 2, which is the Guinness Handicap Chase, and you'll certainly be entitled to a pint of the sponsor's produce if you can work this out. This has got Nightmare written all over it. Bookies Bonanza 24, umpteen in the JP colours. There's a British Raider in there in black op. Chosen Mate blinkered for the first time. Now has joint top weight with Royal Rendezvous, one of the umpteen in the race for Willie Mullins. This is a typical big festival handicap. Who do I think should have first innings on that, so we can cross a few out? Ronan, you were good enough to speak about the bumper, so come on, this is your home territory. Away you go.
This is the opposite to me. I don't think it's a nightmare at all. I think these are the dream races. These are the races you can have a bet in, and the great ones are all.
But surely, whatever you think will win, there's 23 reasons you're on the wrong one. Away you go.
You're probably right. Yeah, look, the one I'm most interested in is Tatsy for Team Cullentra, Denise Foster. I think this horse was a real talking horse in bumpers, and last season when he went hurdling, he was talked up. He was well backed. His first 2 starts, he ran into latest exhibition on the second start at Galway, and then he beat a horse called Antukas at Navan in a maiden hurdle when he went up to 2.5 miles, which I think is the interesting angle into this race. It obviously hasn't happened for him since that. He ran quite well in the county hurdle actually, behind St. Raw. But over fences this season hasn't really happened. Running on heavy ground, 4th against Colrevie at Punchestown earlier on, and just well beaten by horses at Ferryhouse then. But I thought he ran okay the last day at Ferryhouse on better ground. He was 4th to Star Max there, and I'm coming up and trip now to the 2.5 miles on decent ground, off a mark of 129, which is about 5 or 6 pounds shorter than his hurdles rating. Lightly raced 7-year-old. I thought there was enough reasons to take a chance on him, that he could have a bit in hand if things clicked for him. Yeah, obviously I'm if buts and maybes there. I'm looking at the ground and I'm looking at the trip and I'm looking at the early potential that there is, and there is a lot of belief in this horse. But I think if things clicked for him, he sticks out more than a lot of horses in this race that are, well kind of exposed. Like Live, Love, Laugh is up £12 basically from his Irish mark for his good win. Like the Chosen Mate, the West Awakes, Nunsborough Hall, they're all, a lot about them, I suppose, and they're older horses. And he's a younger horse. He's 7-year-old. He only had a few starts over fences. So if things click for him, Tatsy is the one for me, Mike.
When did you last win the lottery, Andrew?
Unfortunately, a long time ago, Mike. I'll play 2 in here near enough the bottom of the weights. One being Arthur Moore's horse, Crossed My Mind. I thought he ran a decent enough race in 8th in that handicap chase at the Dublin Racing Festival, which couldn't have worked out better. The Off You Go, Manila Times, Farkless, Live, Love, Laugh, all of them were in there. He shaped very well that day. A bit of nicer ground, I think, might see him to good effect. And one that's certainly not for the faint-hearted, and I could be completely running off a cliff with this horse, but I've had it in my mind for a while that there's a big handicap in Foxy Jacks of Mouse Morris, and he's been running in these 3-mile handicap chases and travelling into them superbly and then hitting a wall 2 or 3 furlongs out. And so interesting to see him dropped in trip. He did win over 2.5 miles on good ground at the start of the season. He's a horse that has more ability than a horse of 128 would suggest. But I do stress he's not for the faint-hearted, but you'd probably get 33-40 to 1 about him.
Good to see Jonathan Moore back as well. Obviously, we'll talk more about Jonathan in a moment, but the unluckiest man in Cheltenham in my book. Davy, the best of luck.
I have to disagree with you about Jonathan Moore being the most unlucky man at Cheltenham, but anyway, that's for another day. I wouldn't say Johnny will sleep too well on Tuesday night about riding Foxy Jacks because he's rotten. He's horrible. He's plenty of ability, but I'm telling you, this horse is horrible.
Sounds like
I've seen him in Nace. I'm going to go for a bit of a mad one. He's an 11-year-old, but Snow Falcon. He'd been campaigning against some better horses. He has plenty of weight there, and like I said, he's a lot older than some of these. He had a decent run in Fairy House on Easter Monday, yeah, and he was beaten 7.5 lengths by Easy Game. It's not a bad run. This sort of handicap as well would suit him. So, look, like you said, it's a very tough race. So I'd have a bet on Snow Falcon. He's always a consistent sort, and we'll go with him.
Well, the bet of the day was about 5 minutes ago that you 4 would disagree on this race. So come on, Barry, come to my rescue.
I actually agree with Ronan. Datsy. Yeah, I like him. Obviously behind Star Max the last day, decent run. That was over a shorter trip, but he's rated £7 lower over fences than he is over hurdles. He's only had the 12 starts, 12 starts on the track. So he still is lightly raced for a 7-year-old, and I just think there's stepping back up in trip. Though I'm not sure if the good ground will be a problem for him, and I just think he's interesting down the bottom of the weights with Luke Dempsey for Denise Foster. Yeah, he's interesting. But I also wouldn't be surprised, and I think, Andrew, you were in the Dunvegan camp going to Aintree. Tongue strap on for the first time, Brian Cooper riding for Pat Fahey. This horse he has to go win a handicap off that mark soon enough. Not sure if he fell in love with the Aintree fences last time, but I just have my eye on him as well. So to be done vegan but Datsy would be my main selection in the Guinness Handicap.
Okay, on to day 3, and of course now we don't actually have the final fields. We're looking at the 5 days rather than the final fields here, and obviously the Stayers Hurdle is the feature, and we have Flooring Porter, who benefited from a really good ride by Danny Mullins. It was a really terrific ride to get the horse home, following up his win at Leopardstown. Does he win again, Barry?
Let's hear from Gavin Cromwell. Delighted to be joined by Gavin Cromwell. You're very welcome on the Champ.ie podcast, Gavin. It's episode number 21 of the season, and of course a busy week coming up at Punchestown. It's been another brilliant season, Gavin, with over 50 winners again, 2 Cheltenham Festival winners. You can't complain.
No, yeah, it's been great. I suppose that the Cheltenham Festival winners were obviously the highlight, and I suppose we did the great one winner at Christmas as well was nasty.
Yeah, what was your take on Cheltenham, I suppose, behind closed doors this year? Different sort of an atmosphere, but it must have been an exciting week, Gavin.
Yeah, look, it was totally different, but you still can't take away from the fact that it was Cheltenham. There was no crowds for the atmosphere, but it was still some buzz to have a couple of winners there. Yeah,
and I suppose we'll start with Vanillier, winner of the Albert Bartlett. He's down. He's entered for Punchestown for the Irish Mirror race. Were you surprised, I suppose, how well he won at Cheltenham, Gavin? He was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I fancied him to run a big race. He was a huge price in the weeks leading up to the race, but he really started to spark. He kind of, from 3 weeks before Cheltenham right up to Cheltenham, and he improved all the way. So I fancied him to run a big race. Wouldn't have been shocked if he won, but I was shocked in the manner that he won.
Yeah, and he's 3-1 favourite now for the Irish Daily Mirror Novice on Wednesday. How's he come out of Cheltenham, Gavin? Are you happy with him?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, he hasn't missed a beat since, to be fair, and he seems in great nick. So yeah, we're really looking forward to him there.
It looks competitive renewal, of course. And a couple of Cheltenham winners entered in there. Galloping the Champs, of course, won the Martin Pipe, and Tell Me Something Girl is in there as well. But it looks competitive. Are you hopeful of another cracking run?
Yeah, look, it's definitely. Of course, it's very competitive. But he's going there. He's going there, I think, in great nick. And sure. I mean, his run at Cheltenham was rock solid, and if he get a repeat performance, gives him a right chance.
Given his scope now, and I suppose what he's achieved already over hurdles, would you be expecting him now to make up to into a top drawer chaser next year? Is that the plan? He
looks an out and out chaser. He came from the Point ranks, and you'd be very hopeful that he will make into a nice chaser.
Yeah, and sticking with staying hurdles, Gavin, and the champion stayer, of course, Flooring Porter. Gavin, this fella, he's improved, I think, 43 pounds, I think I saw, since winning a handicap at Goran last July. What sort of magic do you work there in Rathfay?
Look, I don't know. I mean, the horse, he's a funny individual. He wears a tongue tie, not because he's wrong of his win, but he's inclined to panic a little bit and just gasp a little bit for air. Just finds it hard to relax in his race. And since we started making the running with him, he seems to settle away lovely and breathes properly, and it's just completely transformed him. He clearly has a huge engine, and he's a young horse, and hopefully on an upward curve.
Is he a buzzy individual at home, Gavin, or what sort of a character is he?
No, he's not. It's funny. Whenever we take him away for a gallop, he's a strange individual. He sort of half run away with you when you're trotting around the place, but once he sets off to do his bit of work, he's fine.
Yeah, he's won 2 grade ones this season. The good ground, he has won a good ground in the past. That shouldn't be an issue.
Shouldn't be an issue. No, I can't see. He won. He won his first race around Bellewstown in the middle of the summer, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Do you think he's a bit better, maybe on better ground?
I couldn't say that. He's won heavy around Navan, and I think, look, he's very versatile. He's not a massive big horse, and he'd go on any ground, really.
He was electric at Cheltenham, Gavin, and I suppose the performance was backed up on the clock as well. It looks like you have a real superstar in your hands. Has it been confirmed who's going to ride him? Will it be Danny or will it be Jonathan?
No, Johnny Moore will be back on him. Look, it was very unfortunate that Johnny didn't ride him at Cheltenham, but Danny gave him a fantastic ride, and we were very grateful of that. But Johnny's back on board.
Brilliant stuff. And I suppose others that are entered this week, Gavin, Caltar, he got off the mark at Ballinrobe for you guys. He was visually impressive and he looks a nice prospect. He's entered also this week.
Yeah, I was delighted the way he moved on the nicer ground. He really pointed his toe and hopefully that'll bring about improvement in him.
And he was chasing and back over hurdles. He's had a couple of runs now. What's been the key to him?
Yeah, I think the better ground really. He was a hard horse to get a handle on. But look, that was definitely his best performance to date in Ballinrobe the last day, and hopefully we have the key to him now, and a bit of nicer ground. Hopefully he'll keep improving. Hopefully
he go close.
Yeah, look, he's going to have to step up an awful lot to win this race on handicap, on handicap ratings. But sure, look, who knows.
Yeah, 5 helmets and Battle of Benburb. The boat winners last time out, Gavin. They're both entered on Thursday. Is the plan for both to run?
5 helmets, I'd say, will almost definitely run. Battle of Benburb, as he's not certain. 5 helmets. Look, he's won his last couple. His jumping was very, very sketchy early on, but jumped well the last day. And if his jumping holds up, he's a nice horse, and hopefully he'd have a chance.
Darver Star, the lads in Dromiskin, County Louth now wouldn't forgive me, I suppose, if I didn't mention this one. Back over hurdles. Is it all guns blazing? I suppose to give the champion hurdler a rattle on Friday.
It is. Look, it's a huge ask. He clearly ran no race in Cheltenham. I don't really know what happened. I thought he was in great nick going there. Didn't travel very well early on, and then Envoi fell in front of him, and he sidestepped around him, and I don't know, did he get a bit of a fright, but he never went at all after that. So look at his jumping. The last couple of runs, his jumping just wasn't good enough. He wasn't having a go to his fences, and so look, we've decided to go back over hurdles, and he worked last Thursday now, and we were very happy with the way he worked, and he's obviously done plenty of schooling over hurdles since, and sure, we'll wait and see, but hopefully back over hurdles will bring bring about a good run.
Yeah, hopefully so. Alpha Mix is one I wanted to mention to you, Gavin. I suppose I've been an admirer of this horse for quite some time, and he's ran a couple of solid races over fences this year. Is the plan to run back over hurdles this week?
He's probably not going to run. No, he's just we're just going to skip this week.
Yeah, has there been any issues with Alpha Mix or?
Look at it. He's just hasn't been working great, so we're just going to send him on a break.
Okay, yeah, Gabby Nacco, he was one that came in for plenty of support in the Martin Pipe. Was probably unfortunate. You were probably very disappointed that he fell.
Yeah, well, sure, look, it was one of those ones we'll never know, but I was very happy with him going there. And then he went to Fairyhouse, and he travelled to Fairyhouse and arrived in Fairyhouse, crippled lame. He got a bang in transit, and we couldn't run him, unfortunately. And he was right as rain about 3 or 4 days later. So it's just one of those things. So it'd be nice to get a little bit of luck with him.
Yeah, I suppose the form with Bob Bollinger, behind Bob Bollinger at Naas now, probably looks his best form. So he's I suppose he's mixed it in graded company. He only has one entry this week. I think it's on Saturday. Is the plan to run? How's he been after the fall?
Yeah, he was fine after the fall, and that when he went to Fairyhouse and had to get withdrawn, he's been fine all along. So look, we're looking forward to running him, and hopefully it'll be great if the lads got a bit of luck with him.
Gavin Cromwell, pleasure having you on the Champ.ie podcast. I suppose we have to wish you best of luck, and hopefully the two graded winners back up for starters, and hopefully you have a good bit of luck this week. But yeah, for Champ.ie listeners, I suppose best chance of a winner this week, and maybe one to follow in one of the handicaps.
Look, I suppose the two grade ones are obviously they're the pressure horses, and they're very exciting, and hopefully they run a big race, and we'd obviously love to see them get their head in front. In one of the handicaps, I would have said maybe 5 helmets clear around the jump, and I think he's a nice horse. Yeah,
he's very good, Mike. Flooring Porter, isn't he? One off, what was it, 122 a handicap at Gowran Park in July. I can't get over how much this horse has improved. But I think the good ground, the good ground won't be an issue to him. The pace angle in this race, it's hard to see who's going to dispute the pace with him. One at an interesting price is Classical Dream, isn't he? He's been off for 487 days. If he were to rock up, just on class alone, he'd be pretty interesting. I remember speaking to Desi Scal 2 years ago, going into Punchestown after Classical Dream had won at Cheltenham, and Desi was saying that this is the second coming of Christ, Classical Dream, but here he is rocking up off a long absence at a huge price. Interesting he runs, but Flooring Porter, he's going to take the world of beating in my view, and the rest of them, he has stepped up this season, and nothing could lay a glove on him at Cheltenham, and I think he'd be hard to beat. But Classical Dream at a big price, if he were to line up, could be interesting. And I mentioned for Paul Hennessy as well, Heaven Help Us. Looking forward to seeing her run as well. But Andrew will probably want to talk about Mrs. Milner now.
Well, I was going to let Davy come in next. Let's let the great man have his say.
I'm going, yeah. Miss Milner, she runs anyway. She came out of Cheltenham very well, and this is where she goes. I think the thinking behind it was there's obviously the mayor's race then on Saturday. Now she's getting the £7 off the other horses, but obviously then she has to make up £5 on Heaven Help Us on her handicap mark. But I think it's good that the two of those mares are running in this, or probably 3 mares, because Manila Melody will probably run as well. So it's good to see those taking on these, but I don't think they'll beat the top 2. I got to be honest, I was very surprised at Flooring Porter. I knocked him on this podcast before Cheltenham. Couldn't have him. Just thought he doesn't help himself, but he was given a very, very good ride by Danny Mullins. But you know what? I'm not going to just jump ship and join him now. I was against him, and I'll stay against him. And I think Sir de Burley will turn the form this time. I just think this track, I know Sir de Burley has won around Cheltenham and everything, and he's suited by there, but I think this track might suit him just a little bit better to make up. I know he has 3.5 lengths to make up, but I'll go with Sir de Burley, and especially at that price as well. He's 9-2 compared to 15-8 at Flooring Porter.
Andrew.
Yeah, I was the same. I couldn't have had Flooring Porter, and he's been a horse that's just consistently proved me wrong all through the year. But again, I'm not gonna back him now at 15-8, especially given what he did at Gowran Park in October, where he veered markedly to his left in the home turn, completely threw a race away against Streets of Doyle. He does have a tendency to lug left in the closing stages, so I'd be prepared to give him up. Of course, I'll have a few quid knocking around on Mrs. Milner. I always will do. But no, one of my perennial heartbreakers is in this race, Ronald Pump. And I will be going to the well again on Ronald Pump and hoping for the best that one day he'll get his head in front in one of these big races. You look at that Hatton's Grace form on face value, it looks absolutely superb now. Got Beacon Edge in there as well. He wouldn't be without a chance. I'm just not sure whether he quite gets 3 miles. Ronald Pump, I think, stepping up to 3 miles will be exactly what he wants. He is a difficult horse to get to win races, especially at this level. He does have to be delivered quite late, but he's got as good an each way chance as many of these, and I'd be taking the favourite on going right-handed.
And Ronan, they've done a fairly good demolition job on a few of these. Where are you here?
Yeah, everything's been said really about Florian Porter. I think he's in many ways he'll finish up as the staying hurdler of the season. Even if he did get beat here, he's been excellent. His progression through the ranks. The right-handed thing is a slight concern, but I think you can equalise that with the fact that he'll go out in front again, and Punchestown lends itself well to a front runner like him. So it's easy to see him winning. 15-8, I'd be happy enough to let him go and win. Couldn't have Sire de Burley now. Not a great record at the track, and I didn't really see his place in the market. I thought he should have been a bit bigger. Beacon Edge has had a really long season. He's been on the go for ages. He started off way back in October. Could see things catching up with him. Ronald Pump, as Andrew said, he'll be thereabouts. I think I'm not fazed by the fact that he's been off the track for so long, and his form looks all right now. Having finished second to Honeysuckle and Beacon Edge just behind him in the Hatton's Grace. The one I will be keeping an eye on, if he gets declared, we didn't actually know he was going to run in the stairs when we were doing our Cheltenham preview. That was Fury Road. This horse gets backed off the board every time he runs, which is a fair indication that they obviously think a lot of him. Like he obviously was 30-8 favourite in the race Flooring Porter won at Leopardstown over Christmas. He was 11-8 against Beacon Edge at Navan, and he was absolutely hammered all day in the Stayers Hurdle. Now, he didn't go a yard there. He kind of got shunted into it at the start, jumping one of I think it was the second hurdle, and it just didn't happen for him. But I'm sure if there's been money from him in each road this season, there seems to be a lot of belief in him, and maybe it's the good ground and 3 miles around Punchestown. He's obviously a course winner that makes things click for him. But he'll be the one to be keeping an eye out. I think he can get 10-1 as it is now if he's declared. Definitely keep an eye on him in the market. But so that would be my way into the race if I'm having a bet, Mike.
Okay, so that is the big race on the third day. We also have the Ryanair Novice Chase, which I suspect may well feature the shortest priced favourite of the week. We're not going to let Barry Doyle have this, are we, lads? Anuj, I mean, does he have to jump round to win? Davy?
Yeah, I'd imagine so, Mike. Seems a simple enough task for him. It was obviously unfortunate that we didn't see him in Cheltenham, and then he didn't go to Fairyhouse. Willie's other horse, Janadil, was very impressive in Fairyhouse over 2.5 in the Powers, but I just think over this trip over 2 mile, you'll need a big mistake or an accident for anything else. The others embittered. He's not up to much. Captain Guinness is a hard problem. None of the rest of them. Janadil will probably give him the most, but I don't think and Eric will have any issues. So Barry will have a right day sitting at home with his probably 1-3 favour.
I was going to say, let me remind Barry as I bring him in on this one that the pubs close in about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Or at least they do in the UK. Does he simply have to jump round to win?
Yeah, he'll win, won't he? Janadil actually. Janadil was impressive the last day, but no, he won't get near an urge. I mean, I'd say back him for the Queen Mother now. There's probably still a bit of value out there. If we get a bit of soft ground at Cheltenham next year. No, 2 miles. A lot of people are looking for an urging me to step up and trip next year. Can't see why he would. He'd probably start off at 2 miles again. But he wins this with his head in his chest.
Oh, you're very restrained, Mr. Doyle. Isn't he, Andrew?
Yeah, I don't know what's gotten into him now. Just because he didn't turf me off the end of Dunleary Pier, he's suddenly a reserve man. But yeah, no, it'll be a race I'll be having a drink in rather than doing anything much with it. That being said, a little bit like Envoi earlier in the year, I'll be the first on the phone to Barry Doyle if Captain Guinness goes and beats an Ergamine, which I've banged on about all year. He won't because he's an absolute head case of a horse, but I'll probably have a fiver on him and leave the race there.
because nobody salutes captains, do they? They only salute generals like Groome. Again, Ronan, anything to add?
The only reason Barry's not excited about this race is he didn't have any chance to back Ergermine at a big price. So that's he can't get rich.
Well, no, hold on for a second. I just want to say I am excited to see him. I can't wait to see him. Obviously, it was disappointing, wasn't it, having him at a big price for Cheltenham? But I love him. I love the way he jumps. He's an exceptional jumper. Very restrained, Mr. Doyle.
Have you backed him for the Champ.ie Chase next year?
Not yet, no. Okay. I might.
Yeah, well, I don't think his price is going to be too affected by this. I'm not sure it's a great race, and I think he'll probably win, Mike. So we can kick on.
Yeah, let's go to Friday, because we obviously Friday has really Rachel Blackmore Day written all over it, doesn't it? With let's mention Bob Ollinger set to go, but the race we're going to concentrate on is the Paddy Power Champion Hurdle. This is about €100,000 bonus if a Brit can come across and take the Irish in this race in their own backyard. Has at least got a few British runners in, but they've got one enormous obstacle in their way called Honeysuckle. And Andrew, is she a good thing?
Yeah, I think so. I'll be playing the same forecast I played at Cheltenham, Honeysuckle to beat Sharjah. I see no reason to suggest why that couldn't happen again. I wouldn't mind Goshen running well, just to see how good he is, going right-handed. But you couldn't be backing him with any type of confidence. Good to see Epatante coming over, but I think her limitations have been exposed this year. She's a very good mare, but not quite up to Honeysuckle's level. So I think Honeysuckle will win again. I can't see any reason why she won't. And I think Sharjah will run very well again in behind on his favourite ground.
What about you, Mr. Groome?
Yeah, I think she'll win. Mike. Honeysuckle, she's 11 out of 11, obviously. I guess when you're dealing with an odds-on shot, you can be picky enough and suggest that maybe this is the first time she's ran after a run at Cheltenham. And, but she only started in the Hatton's Grace Hurdle. It's not like she's had a really long season. And she was head and shoulders above them at Cheltenham, so it's a boring call to say she win. Not no one's going to get rich back in a 4-6 shot, but I think she will. And just out of the ones that could possibly, if you're doing a betting without, or you want an each way angle or a kind of forecast option, I thought Abracadabras might be the one to chase her home. I thought he is the one I backed actually in the Champion Hurdle in the end. And obviously didn't get very far there, but he showed at Aintree that he could win, and that was likeable. I thought from a horse like him, who's been a bit reluctant when he's hit the front before, to go on and see his effort through there was good. And I think this could end up being, with the English runners more or less declared with the 100,000 bonus up, this could be a decent sized field, which would hopefully mean that it'd be a decent pace, and that's what Abracadabras will need over 2 miles, and he can kind of get a toe into the race, and I could see him easily finish in second to Honeysuckle. So that would be my 1-2.
Davy Boland.
I agree with everything Ronan says, yeah.
That's the headline story. Boland agrees with everything. It's great.
I do. I think Abracadabras could chase her home. I don't think anything will beat her. She's just an amazing horse. That £7 again, it's huge. Yeah, she was so impressive in Cheltenham. I think Rachel Blackmore will ride a Grade 1 double within an hour on Friday evening. She'll ride Honeysuckle and then Bob Ollinger.
Agreed, Barry?
Yeah, she was the performance at Cheltenham, I thought, Honeysuckle, in the Champion Hurdle. Electric stuff, and she's been in the best form she's ever been this year. So yeah, she's going to take an awful lot of beating again. I would agree with Ronan. Also, Abracadabras obviously came down early at Cheltenham, and the better ground as well. Like we saw, it was a good effort when winning at Aintree in the Aintree Hurdle. I was actually on him at Aintree, so I don't know. I'd probably I wouldn't back her at that price. I'd probably back him each way at 10-1. Yeah, probably represents a bit of value. But imagine if Goshen goes and wins now. Crying out loud.
Well, the 4 horsemen will give you their naps and next bests in a moment. But let's just look into the crystal ball and look to Saturday and look to the big final 2 grade ones. And I think we'll take these together, guys, because obviously we're still a little bit in the dark as to what will or won't turn up. Ronan, Groome.
Yeah. So quick in the champions of the 4-year-olds race, it's obviously going to be Quilixios and possibly Zana here again. I was very much in the Quilixios camp at Cheltenham, Mike. I just thought he did more on the track than Zana here. And it seemed to be that the vibe from Cullen Trow was that Zana here was better, but I think he can always, when you need to trust the form that you see, and I think Quilixios proved that at Cheltenham. I thought he was excellent. The Mullins horse is interesting now because that was an excellent run for him to finish 3rd hot on Callure. So that'll be fascinating to see how that kind of rolls out. But I'd still probably up with Quilixios, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, Mike. I haven't had a great look at the Mayor's race. Interesting to see Lorena's back. Possibly there, and Shark Hanlon's mare, Sky Ace. That'll be an interesting rate as well, but I guess Concertista is the one they'll have to beat there. So yeah, nothing great now. We're a bit of a way out, but Quilixios and Concertista, pretty solid.
Davy, what's caught your eye in these 2 races at this stage? Obviously, we don't yet have the final field.
I'm going to stick with what I said before the Triumph. I'm going to stick with Zana here. I wouldn't say there was a whole lot that went amiss, but I definitely think he ran below par. So I'm going to give him another chance again. I do think that I know now they're not stable companions anymore, but they always thought that Zana here was a better horse. So I'll stick with my opinion as well that he is.
Mr. Champ.ie, Barry Doyle.
Palace Rock, 33-1 in the juvenile hurdle each way. Francis Casey. I think he's about 3 or 4 horses in training. Yeah, I think it's a good each way chance. Won a maiden hurdle. Was actually one at Dundalk, actually, over 1 mile and 4. But I think this horse could be overpriced. He had a good winner at Fairyhouse with Max Flamingo. But I thought this horse, he was at Navan, won a maiden hurdle back in March, and it was travelling like a good thing. Hit the last and it was tough, but it was hands and heels the whole way to the line. I think this horse could be overpriced. Dennis O'Regan up for Francis Casey in the 4 o'clock at Punchestown. It's actually a grade 1, so it's a big step up, but I think 33-1, I think he'll run well. So that's
Francis Casey, is he better at television interviews than his dad? Oh no, we won't go there, will we, Andrew?
No, we probably shouldn't. No, I'd be siding with Zana here. Thought he ran well below himself at Cheltenham. I think he might be a little bit sharper than Quilixios at Punchestown as well. I think Quilixios is a big stayer in the making. Zana here is probably a speedier horse. And Mayor's race, I haven't had a massive look at, but probably will have a few quid on Stormy Ireland. I thought she did it quite well at Fairyhouse, actually. I quite like Mouse's horse, French Dynamite, who came second. She kept pulling out the more he came at her. So good to see her back to winning ways back at Willie Mullins. So I'll probably have a few quid on her at 6-1.
Well, we've talked about a lot of horses, but now it's time to turn all those horses into 2 from each of my learned friends. That's what it says here. And get their naps and next best of the Punchestown Festival 2021. And how sad I am, I'm not on a plane bound for there, as we all should be, because it's a very special week and only 365 days to happens all over again. Okay, let's start with you, Davy Boland. Nap and next best, please.
You know what? I'm going to go with my nap as Envoi. I think the course form. I'm going to go with him as my nap. And my next best is a horse in the Land Rover bumper tomorrow, called Non-Biding. He's a half brother to Fernie Hollow for Denise Foster and Jamie Codds. A horse by Talanisi. He's my next best.
Jamie Codd needs the winners, doesn't he, in the battle with Patrick to be champion amateur. Who's going to be champion tips out of our lot? Andrew Blair White, what are your two?
Well, my nap comes on Wednesday in the auction final. Henry's horse, Heather Rocco, on the ratings, has got a few pounds in hand. Did it quite nicely the last day at Limerick. He has a bit of a quirk, but he's plenty talented. And my next best, he'll have a few entries this week in some of the low-grade handicaps, but a Gavin Cromwell horse called Five Helmets, who's off mark 121. He's won his last two. His initial entry is the 340 on Thursday. If he runs in that, it's an 85 to 125. He'll win that because he's a very well handicapped horse and he's getting better with every run.
And from Five Helmets to the man who's always got his tin helmet on, Ronan Groome.
I'm going with my nap. It runs on Wednesday in the Grade 1, the 3 mile race, the Irish Mirror Novice Hurdle. Really like Galopin des Champs. He was probably the most impressive handicap winner at Cheltenham. Because I was on Langer Dan there, I was fixated towards him the whole way. He absolutely sliced through the field. He was £5 well in, officially raced like he was about £12 well in, and Galopin des Champs, he couldn't get near him. Sean O'Keefe from the front, and really, I think it's really interesting that he comes here. There've been two winners of the Martin Pipe have come to this race in the last 5 years. Kiloltavic and Champagne Classic. Kiloltavic won off 135 in the Martin Pipe. Champagne Classic was 138. Galopin des Champs was 142, and I think he's value for a bit more as well. He takes on Vanillier, which is, fair enough, he was an excellent winner of the Albert Bartlett, but I think this Galopin des Champs is a real prospect, and coming up to this 3 mile trip could bring about further improvement. Next best, I'll go for a bit of a price and go with Tatsy on Wednesday as well in the big Guinness Handicap Chase for the reasons I said earlier on. I just think he's unexposed, and if things fall right from him, things click for him, he could be very well handicapped off 129.
And let the final words be with Barry Doyle, Mr. Champ.ie.
Galopin des Champs nap, 10 to 3. Best price available now over the 3 miles. Yeah, it's interesting that they come up in trip. I thought they might stay in around the 2 mile, 2.5 mile. But 3 mile won't be a problem to this horse whatsoever. And as Ronan said, the best handicap winner without a doubt. Now, I probably am biased because he got me out in the last, just before Blair White was crowned the anti-post king. But Galopin des Champs, he's going to be a smashing chaser next year. But as Ronan said, the Martin Pipe winners have a good record in this race. I think he'd be very hard to beat. He's my nap of the week. And I will put in Francis Casey's 4-year-old on Saturday as my next best in the 4 o'clock. That's Palace Rock each way at 33 to 1. I think he's good.
So that is it. And thank you very much to all the team who have sweated many hours, or at least so they tell me, in coming up with all these winners. Thanks to Ronan Groome, Andrew Blair White, Davy Boland, and Barry Doyle of Champ.ie. We'll be back with you very soon with another podcast. Enjoy a very special Punchestown Festival.